Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again today. My name's Steve Cooper and you're watching In Deep on the Delta, and today we have the weekly report for the week of December 24th, 2020. Before we get into the report, I'd like to talk a little bit about business, and for some of you who may have replied to my website and I haven't gotten back to you, I've had some type of problem where I'm not being able to get my reply back to you. So I don't know if it's with the server or whatever it is, but I'm working on that. But just be aware of, I'm getting your messages, I just have not been able to reply to some of you. So please keep sending me the messages and I'll try to figure out why I'm not able to reply to you guys. I'd also like to once again ask everyone to send me your pictures of your big catch here on the Delta during the 2020 season. Send them to scoopper9561032@gmail.com, and I'll put a link to that down in the description of the video. And again, just send a picture of you, your big fish, how big it was, and maybe what you caught it on, and I'll make a compilation and we will be loading that video up towards the end of the year, and it'll give you guys a chance to brag about your big fish of the season. With that, we'll get right into the report. I've been out about 3 days this week. The water temperatures are dropping. It's definitely wintertime conditions. They're hovering around 48 in the morning and maybe 48, 49, 50 during the day. Clarity runs from anywhere from about 3 to 6 feet depending on the day out here. I'm looking down there today, and we probably have maybe 8 feet of visibility back up in the sloughs. Okay, so let's get into the report. I am going to combine hook, line, and sinker and Outdoor Sportsman's report together because they're pretty close. And we'll start off with the largemouth bass. That's going to be the easiest one. Neither one of those shops has had enough people coming in giving them reports to get a solid report for me to say anything about that. So I will cover the largemouth bass, what I've been doing out here, after we talk a little bit about the striped bass report. So both hook, line, and sinker and Outdoor Sportsman are reporting an uptick on the striped bass. And remember, last week we talked about a big school of fish that's been out in the bay, and it looks like a lot of those fish have moved into the system. Most of those fish are out around Frank's Track and the tributaries running into Frank's Track. That's where most of the action has been happening. They're not big fish, keeper size to about 6 pounds, but they're providing some action. The topwater bite for striped bass has kind of dropped off. Most people are catching them on reaction baits, lipless, jerk baits, and A-rigs, things of that nature. So lay off the topwater a little bit, go to the reaction baits if you're fishing for striped bass. Outdoor Sportsman also said some of their clients down around Middle River, Old River, down around Ski Beach have been catching striped bass on bait. Not big fish, but again, fish up to about 6-7 pounds, and you know, they're providing action. So striped bass on an uptick, largemouth bass, just not many people fishing for them. So that brings us to my report, and I've been out for about 3 days this week, and I'm seeing a downtick on the largemouth bass. My fishing has dropped off, not dramatically, but slightly, and that's been happening for about the last 10 days or so. So I have moved from fishing docks, man-made structure, the little inlets and things that I've been fishing. They've kind of been dropping off, so I've tried to move out and fish a little deeper water, and I'm still getting fish, but it's slow. A week ago I was getting maybe 8 to 12 fish depending on the day. The last week I've been struggling to get about 6 fish a day, and that's fishing about a 5-hour day. I've been fishing 8 to 12 feet of water off of banks in hydrilla. I have been throwing every kind of worm rig you can think of, along with a swivel head jig and doing a little drop shot. I'm catching enough fish that it's kind of keeping me going. Now, I said that I was going to admit to a mistake that I've done in the last couple weeks, and my mistake has been, over the last month when I've had pretty decent fishing, I've kept on that pattern, and the last couple weeks I've seen that pattern start to deteriorate a little bit. Well, I've stayed on that pattern, and probably about 90% of my fishing has been on that pattern, maybe 10% looking around. This is my mistake. I should have started, when I saw my pattern deteriorating, start looking around a little bit more. Instead of fishing 90% the pattern that I was catching them on, I should have been fishing maybe 50 or 60% of that pattern, and then spending 40 or 50% of my day moving around searching for the next pattern. The problem that's created for me is that I know my worm fishing pattern that I've been catching fish on is gonna take a dive real soon. If 2 weeks ago, when I saw that pattern start to decrease, I started moving around looking for fish, I would have a jump on some new areas that I might be able to start catching fish on. But not doing that, I'm going to have to start from scratch, so it's going to take me a little longer to hopefully find some more fish. When your patterns are deteriorating, don't stay on them for too long. I'm giving you that advice because I didn't take my own advice, and I'll probably be paying for it for the next week or two. I'd like to also talk a little bit about some of the surrounding water that we have here and give you a quick report on some alternatives to the Delta. I'm happy to bring on board Clear Lake Bait and Tackle from up at Clear Lake. Jimmy, who's the proprietor, will be calling me on a weekly basis, and he'll give me a report on Clear Lake. Now, I know a lot of the people that fish the Delta also fish Clear Lake, so I want to make sure I have some alternatives for you when the Delta gets tough. Well, this week it's probably not a good week to go up to Clear Lake because the report up there is really tough. When it starts picking up, I'll let you guys know, and that way if the Delta takes a drop and Clear Lake's working, I might send you up to Clear Lake. Not this week though, but next week I'll have a little more in-depth report, and that's going to be from Clear Lake Bait and Tackle. I also talked to John Liechty from Experience Guide Service up in Maloney's, and Maloney's is fishing really pretty well. That's going to be, again, our pick of the week. If you need to get up and catch some fish, Maloney's is the lake that you want to fish. Now, John reports that the lake is rising, and the fish that were out at 60 to 70 feet last week have moved into about 40 to 45 feet of water, so that's a good sign. The shallower fish are usually a little easier to catch, especially for the guys that aren't up there every day. John is fishing creek channels, still fishing creek channels. He's trying to find those drop-offs and fish that 40 to 45 feet of water, and he's throwing dart heads, he's throwing shaky heads, Ned rigs, drop shots, fishing vertical. Pretty good numbers of fish. They're not all big fish, but the fish in the 1 to 2 pound class, good fun fish. John also reported that Saturday he had a client get a 6 pound 6 ounce fish on a swim bait. So what he's been doing up there is spending a little bit of time throwing swim baits in the morning. If nothing happens, he switches over to that pattern of vertical jigging, finding fish in that 45 foot range and just vertically working over the top of them with worms and things of that nature. So the pick of the week is going to be New Maloney's. Next week, the video that I'll be uploading is the first in that series, and we're going to be calling it Becoming a Hydrilla Gorilla, and we're going to talk all about fishing the hydrilla, the Agiridentia, out here on the Delta. Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.